Well, welcome into another edition of Talkin Ducks. This week's episode brought to you by whatever's in this silver can. Is it alcohol or is it iced coffee? As a dad of 4 young boys, it could be either. But let's go ahead and get to the recap of this one. Jordan Kent alongside Aaron Fentress, George Wrighster, Anthony Newman, the ball coach, will join us here next week. He's got some busy things to do. But gentlemen, we sat here wondering how close that game between Oregon and Texas Tech was going to be. I don't think anybody thought the Ducks were going to pitch.
Who is we? Who is we?
Oh, God, here we go.
See, we is we, right? I mean, we is we for the most part.
No. We said,
Let Jordan finish.
At least 2 scores. I said at least two scores.
This is true.
All the rest of you yahoos around here, that's different.
This is true. Either way, the most impressive performance from this Oregon defense all season long that now sets the stage for a Titanic rematch against the Indiana Hoosiers. Let me know if you had that on your bingo card a couple of years ago as far as the Ducks needing to defeat an opponent to get to the national title game. A matchup against Indiana in Atlanta and a chance to play in the national championship game against the winner of Miami and Ole Miss. Aaron Fentress, you were down there sipping some freshly squeezed orange juice in Miami. What did you take from Oregon's performance? You saw this up close and personal. Was it that impressive, or is there something we're missing here as they get set to take on Indiana?
I thought they were completely impressive on defense. I did not expect Baron Morton to play like he was afraid of what he was seeing. He was seeing ghosts. He was like, that ain't BYU over there. Those Ducks are for real. And he completely melted down. No offense to the kid. He had a great career. I'm not trying to disrespect him, but he did not look like he wanted to be there on Thursday night. Offensively, though, the Ducks were pretty pedestrian. Texas Tech took it to them. And so for me, that's the biggest concern going into Indiana, because Indiana's defense might not have the front 4 level talent that Texas Tech has, but they rank just as high in almost every category and did so playing in a better conference. So I'm a little worried for Oregon's offense going against Indiana's defense, which I think might be better from a overall consistency standpoint. And so that's a problem for me moving forward with this game on Friday night.
How are they better than Texas Tech on a consistency when Texas Tech?
Because they played better teams. They played better teams. They beat Oregon. They beat Ohio State. They beat Iowa. They crushed Bama. Texas Tech played the best team they played and got smoked. So there's a difference there. Levels to this, baby.
Oh, really? There's levels to this.
Hey, George, can I ask Aaron to follow up here real quick? Aaron, I get better teams that you defeated, but teams have 3 facets to them. You got offense, defense, special teams. As far as the offenses that Texas Tech faced in the Big 12 versus some Big 10 offenses, which we know aren't necessarily as high octane, do you still take a lot of those offenses in the Big 10 over the offenses in the Big 12 when you're comparing the defense of the Hoosiers to the defense of the Red Raiders?
I mean, like George always says, styles make fights. When they play a different type of offense in the Big 12 and maybe across the board, but they're tougher and more physical in the Big 10. I think that's clear, and I think we saw that on Thursday. The tougher, more physical team beat up the other team, other than the fact that Oregon couldn't run the football and they struggled to protect, which is why they were throwing a ton of quick passes, which kept them alive on offense. So what I'm saying is that when you look at that game, the red flags are those going forward, and I do think Indiana has the better quarterback, has the better overall running game, has the better overall talent than Texas Tech from a physical standpoint point across the board, other than the fact that Texas Tech probably has better pass rushers. But the pass rushers got to Dante a little bit, and they averaged 3.7 sacks per game, whereas Indiana averaged 3, and they sacked Moore 6 times. Now, Moore may have learned from that with all the sim pressure stuff, and that's fine, but I don't think Oregon's going to run the football against Indiana any better than they did against Texas Tech, which was not good, and I think that's going to be a problem moving forward.
George?
I don't think it's going to be a problem. I believe that this Oregon team has, outside of Texas Tech, has been able to run the ball against everybody that they played against, including Indiana, where with the running backs, they ran for over 5 yards a carry. And I did a breakdown of this on a Afraid show, video evidence of what I'm about to tell you right now, so you guys can check that out after you get off of Talkin Ducks, is that this Oregon team, when you look on the film, there were plenty of opportunities. There were plenty of opportunities to make plays. There was Dante's looking in the wrong direction. The offensive line sliding the wrong way. The Indiana confused them. They outcoached Oregon in that first game. Dan Lanning, after the game, told the team, we got outcoached. So how on earth are we supposed to, if Dan Lanning is as great of a coach as people believe that he is, how on earth can we think that the man will get outcoached again? Because if coaching is equal in this game, the Ducks win. The Ducks are by
Is it equal?
far.
Is it? Signetti is far more experienced overall. I don't know if it's equal.
No, I'm saying if the coaching ends up like in terms of the schematics.
Let's say Oregon doesn't get
Okay.
out-coached, Aaron, in this game.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Then that's where talent takes over. Oregon is by far more talented than Indiana. That does not mean that Indiana doesn't have a first-round quarterback, doesn't have a wide receiver who's going to the NFL, a couple of defensive players. Oregon's got probably on the people that are going to step on the field between the different classes, 7, 8 first rounders probably, and then a lot of other draft picks as well. That's where the difference in the game is going to lie. Is I believe Oregon will not get out coached again, and the better players will win the football game.
It's also interesting, and George, I want to get your thought on this first, then Aaron. The last time Oregon played Indiana, it was off the heels of the Penn State victory. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think at that point, Oregon is a very emotional road win based on what Penn State was. If you're Oregon, you're thinking you've arrived. And I think this was the first game with classes starting as well, too, George. As you know, that's always an interesting week on campus. For Indiana, this was a chance to really make a statement, to go on the road in Eugene and beat the Ducks. And that would really cement this whole thing, because their knock last year was they hadn't beaten anybody, right? And then they get to the playoff, they lose in the first round. This was their first legitimate test I feel they passed. And obviously they've been terrific all season long. I think this game in the regular season had way more motivation for Indiana, sadly, than it did for Oregon. And now when you get to this situation with Oregon being the team that needs to make the adjustments, seeing what's on the line, and just the fact that you have a chance for payback right there, I think it's a completely different mindset that the Ducks have coming into this game than what they did in the regular season, George.
We literally saw this movie before last year. We saw Ohio State come into Autzen Stadium, get smacked up, go home, and then you get them again in the playoffs. Now, granted, the 25-26 day layoff, I think that added to how ugly it got early, because I don't think that they were, that many points better than Oregon. But you start out slow, you get jumped on, it's over. And it is hard to beat a team twice. It is hard to beat a more talented team twice. And sometimes losses are what you need. This Oregon team is a young team still at a lot of its core positions. And you have Dante Moore, who's not the same quarterback. The look in his eyes is not the same. The confidence, the experience, I've been tested, I've been down, I've lost, I've come back, I've played well. Where you have that whole arc where you've been shorthanded at wideouts, you figured it out. And now you have, like, Oregon is playing a totally different brand of football. You see them with 13 personnel on the field. They're on the field with 12 personnel, like pretty much the entire game. And 12 personnel is one running back, 2 tight ends, which means 2 wide receivers out there. And now you have 2 of your best players on the field in Kenyon Sadiq and Jamari Johnson at all times. And teams don't know how. 12 personnel is the most difficult personnel for any team to match up with, especially if those guys can run and catch. Because now you don't know whether they're going to pack it in and run at you, or whether they're going to spread them out and run right past you. And so you don't know which personnel group to bring in. And Indiana wants to keep their big Ophi linebackers out there, and they are going to have to cover in space. And that is going to be the biggest difference in this game. Oregon running the football, and also Dante Moore not being confused by these pressures, and understanding and having an answer for it, because there were plays to be had.
Okay, so let me respond to that. They couldn't run the ball against Texas Tech at all. And both teams are top 5 in run defense in the country. And Indiana has faced far better run teams than Texas Tech has. So there's no reason for me to believe that they're going to run the ball successfully in this game. Now, we can point back to Indiana, which you and I have talked about, where they had some success rushing the ball in that game and then kind of went away from it. However, as been rumored, and I tweeted earlier today, and we'll have an injury report at some point to confirm this, Jordan Davison is more than likely out with a broken clavicle. He had 59 of the Ducks' 81. Well, let's take away Dante's sacks in the first game against Indiana. So they had 108 yards, not counting the sacks. He had 59 of them. Jaden Lamar had 17. He's in the transfer portal. So you've got Noah back, who had 27 yards, 5 carries in that game. And then you have Jay Harris and you have De'Aaron Hill. Those are probably going to be your 3 backs in the game. Losing Jordan Davison in this game is a huge blow for the power running game against that Indiana defense. So even if we let me finish. Even if we disagree on just the matchups and you're going to run better and blah, 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 you lost your most productive back from that game. So that, to me, just completely destroys your theory because you're not going to have the horses to get it done against this team.
Who cares? NMU, next man up. Oh my God. The Corey and Maury and Gary Bryan are out. The season is lost. Oh, damn, that wasn't a problem.
Who ever said that? No one said that. Who said that?
No. There was plenty of people that questioned if the pass game was going to be effective without them. And then no Evan Stewart. Oh my God, no problem. What happened when Oregon goes to Ohio State without the kid
Kayvon Thibodeau
that plays for the Giants now, 5.
Kayvon Thibodeau.
Sometimes I gotta say it. What has happened every single time?
Got lit. The defense got lit in that game, by the way. But go ahead, continue.
Well, I guess I want to ask this question because from a greater picture, I think just educating Duck fans on this, and Aaron and then George, let you follow up on this, is this Indiana turnaround needs to be addressed once more. The fact that this was the, I think, second most or had the most losses of any Power 4 program before Cignetti got there. And within 2 years, and yes, they've gone to the transfer portal, but not to the level that like a Texas Tech has or anybody. What makes Indiana so good? They're the only team that has had that first week bye in the playoff to win. The other teams went 0-7. They seem to be playing incredibly disciplined football, even though they don't have the type of 4- and 5-star roster that you're seeing at Miami, Ole Miss, and Oregon. Aaron, what is it when you look at these cats on film, Indiana, that makes them the best team in the country right now?
So here's one thing that can't be ignored. George mentioned that Oregon probably has more talent, but he also mentioned that they're young. There's a lot of old-ass dudes on this Indiana team, like grown men that he brought from JMU. He went to Indiana from JMU.
They are the oldest Power 5 team. They are the oldest.
Their quarterbacks.
Yeah, that grown man strength is what you're saying then, Aaron.
It's like
exactly. Their
BYU.
two running backs are seniors. Their top receiver, Sarrett, is a senior. So they're adults, and that matters. Like having a fifth-year senior who may not be as talented as a sophomore can close that talent gap in a hurry because they're going to be more efficient. And that's another reason why if it comes down to the fourth quarter, who do I want? Like moving forward, if I'm drafting in the NFL, I'm taking more. But coming down to the fourth quarter on Friday night, who do I want? The senior veteran starter or Dante Moore, who's still going like this as a quarterback? I'm taking the veteran guy.
George,
hey man,
you agree?
Absolutely
yes,
not.
He does.
It would be different.
No, I'm talking about Indiana as a roster, not Georgia Mendoza. I mean, we can get to Mendoza and who you're going to choose at quarterback versus Moore.
I will take elite players with elite coaching. And granted, we see this in the NCAA tournament all the time. Creighton makes the national championship. Then they got to play against Duke. They had a great season. Or Butler.
Butler.
Butler. Back to back in there. There's levels to this. And Indiana, you do not get to jump the line. I'm sorry.
Can I say
It's
one
been
thing
a
though?
great Cinderella story. But what always happens at the end of the movie?
Okay, the
Turns
Ends
back
up with
difference
into a
Prince
pumpkin.
Charming.
the difference is that Butler hadn't already defeated Duke. Oregon's already defeated the Ducks
Butler can
in their
defeat. No, no,
house.
no, no, no. But Butler beat name brand teams in the regular season. But when
Not
it
the same.
comes down to winning 4 games, you are run out of talent. And I know. See, and the other thing is this: is that when you look at like the blue chip rankings, right? There has not been a team in the college football playoff era that had a blue chip ranking. That means 4 and 5 stars in your roster to win a national championship that had below 50%. There are only 2 teams. Well, there are 2 teams still left that are below 50%. That is Ole Miss, which is close to 50%, and Indiana. Now, on one hand, the transfer portal and NIL and all that stuff has kind of closed, like Aaron said, has closed the gap because a guy like Surratt, who started out at a small school, then transfers to James Madison, and then now goes to Indiana. If you were re-ranking him now, he would be a 4-star player. So, so Indiana's roster, even though their blue chip ranking is not above 50%, it really kind of is around there because of the development of these old ass men. They got
Right.
dudes 23. Their average age of their starters is 22 years old and
Which is
change.
just insane, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
they got a lot of
For
guys that
college
are off their parents' cell phone plan. I'll tell you that much. And so,
Yes, yeah, bro, they got to get their own insurance.
that's what I'm saying.
They got
They've
they
dealt
got
with Cobra. They know what's going on with
yeah.
that. I want to get to this aspect of the
Mm.
game, though, because it feels like for Oregon to have success, Dante Moore's processing speed has got to be elite, or he's got to be able to see the field and not be rushed. It seems like so many quarterbacks against Indiana, and you guys mentioned it, sorting out the pressure. How does Oregon alleviate that or make that easier for him, George, when you look at some of these exotic fronts, or if you look at some of these disguises that Indiana is going to have? How do the Ducks make sure Moore isn't sped up? Because if Oregon can't run the ball effectively and you're getting into these obvious passing situations where pressure is going to come, the Ducks have to be successful in those situations. How do they do that?
Number one, there are keys. There are keys that they had to diagnose and figure out that I have been told have that there are some answers to, because they essentially will show blitz from one side, get you to slide your line there, and then come from the other side. So of course that they are going to switch what they do on some level, but who you are is who you are. Like it's in your DNA or it is not. And so Oregon has to run the football, get them out of 2 high safeties, because Indiana wants to play in 2 high safeties. That way then they can play, quarter half, they can do play cover 2, cover 4. There's a lot of different options, right? Or they can play man, which they rarely do. But if you can run the football, like their superpower has been stopping the run in a 2 high shell because of their blitzing and all of that stuff and confusion. So if you can run the ball effectively, those linebackers, they can't go bailing out. They got to stay closer to the line of scrimmage, and the windows are gonna open up. This is why I believe that the Ducks win by 2 scores.
Wow! First loss of the year for Indiana. It's going to be Oregon by 2 scores.
Sorry.
Aaron, it's interesting because, your thoughts on this. You've coached football before. You've been in a lot of film rooms. For me, I think in a rematch where the game was close the first time, and obviously Indiana came to Autzen Stadium and beat the Ducks, I think Oregon has the slight advantage in that they're the ones making the adjustments. If you're Indiana, obviously you're going to tweak a couple things.
Sorry.
But I say this as a player, though, Aaron. Like, you get a chance to see the mistakes you made on film against them,
Right.
and to see if Indiana has consistently done those things to other teams to make sure their scheme is staying consistent throughout the year and that it wasn't just a curveball. Now I think if you're Oregon, you have a better idea of what to expect and anticipate coming into this game, whereas stuff might have caught you. And yes, you make in-game adjustments, but there's nothing that can compare to having a week to prepare for something. But I say advantage, I just think it benefits the Ducks that they clearly played them earlier this year and lost, because you're now more prone to the mistakes you made in that game and correcting them versus a false sense of, yep, just repeat what we did and we'll have the same success. But your thoughts on that?
Right. So Oregon scored 13 offensive points in that game, which clearly is not good. Right?
No.
Got a pick six.
Not great, Bob.
Finney to make it
Not
20-20.
great.
All right, so yes, there was a lot of talk. Jeff Schwartz, former offensive lineman for Oregon, broke it down to, how they're showing blitz on one side, coming the other way, like George just talked about. Well, Cignetti's no rookie to this. He knows Oregon's going to adjust. He's probably seen on film where other people have said, let's do what Indiana did, and it didn't work as well. So then you're going to come with your own set of wrinkles. It may be that you're showing pressure, and guess what? You're bringing pressure from right there. Whereas Dante may be thinking, oh, they're showing it, but they're really coming over here. But no, they're coming that way. Or you're showing it from both sides, and then one drops off, one comes. Or you're showing it from one side, you're coming up the middle. There's so many different things you can do. The bottom line is that one strategy worked wonders in that game. But there's other things you can do to try and confuse
they have
Dante.
done it every single game to every team that they've played. This is who they are.
I know, but okay. So Cignetti's not smart enough to switch it up against a team that's playing them the second time.
I mean, of
that's
course there are little wrinkles, but for the most part, it is what they do.
Okay, again, but what you do can be tweaked and altered. That's what teams do. That's what good coaches do. Regardless, we both agree that in order to combat that, you really have to run the football. And that's why I think this is going to be dead and buried from the get-go, because I don't think they're going to run the football very well in this game. Now, back to Texas Tech. Again, Oregon's offense just got shut down, period. No matter how you spin it or twist it. It's not like they've been lighting good teams up. They struggled against Iowa offensively. Yeah, I guess it was raining. They weren't lighting it up against Washington. Wisconsin, raining. I'm not going to count that one. And then let me finish, dude. And then Texas Tech just shut them down. They didn't have one touchdown drive in that game. They drove for a few field goals. They probably could have kicked another one had they not gone for it on fourth down. So we've seen them just be had on defense by another defense that ranks as high as Indiana. So there's no reason for me to believe. It's not disingenuous. There's no evidence to believe that they're going to run the football in Indiana. Therefore,
shutting down an offense is what Oregon did to Texas Tech. Texas Tech, Oregon was moving the football consistently, easily. And then, but hold on, it was mainly in the pass game, and then they got some runs going in the second half. They got runs going in the second half, but it was miscues, it was drop balls and stuff like that killed drives when they were on the way to go score. This wasn't a Texas Tech just putting up a brick wall. Like, nope, these were mistakes that Oregon did not have to make, which didn't allow them to score touchdowns.
And George, I got a question.
I know
for
every
you.
time.
Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. When Texas Tech shuts down Oregon, George, you know this. You can be shut down by a scheme, or you can be shut down by an unbelievable individual effort. Were there times where Texas Tech, just because they had a dude at that spot that beat an offensive lineman one-on-one or timed their jump perfectly to deflect a pass, so it wasn't necessarily getting beat by the scheme, but an individual just stepping up and making a play? Did you see more scheme from Texas Tech, or the fact that it was just more individual outstanding plays that would end a drive with a sack or a pass deflection at a critical moment?
That was individual play. David Bailey looked like Myles Garrett in the first half of that game. I was looking at him like, I see why everybody, like, on film it's there, but when you're watching him even more so closely against a Joe Moore Award finalist offensive line, and you're like, this dude is a problem. Even Lee Hunter, big number 2 in the middle, disrupting the game early until they got him tired, and then once they got him tired, they were able to do some things. But it's sometimes in these games, particularly when you get good on good, it is a leaning match. It's you got to lean on somebody until you break. That's what what was his name? Miami. That's essentially what they did to Texas A&M. They just leaned on them all game. And leaned on them. And when you lean on people, and that's really what Indiana did to Alabama too. They only ran like 55 offensive plays. They just leaned on them. They and created short fields. Alabama panicking in the second quarter. It's 3-0, and they go for it on their own like 30. You're like, why are you panicking? It's 3-0, and they just lean on you.
All right, I want to make sure we have enough time for predictions because obviously the magnitude of this game does not need to be described. And I didn't want to get into too much forecasting or foreshadowing here, Aaron. Obviously, the table could potentially be set for a Oregon-Miami national championship game, or you could say, listen, this is the first time Oregon doesn't have an Ohio State or a Georgia sitting in front of them or an Alabama for a national championship. Your thoughts on this game, Aaron, when you make a prediction and what this means? Is this Oregon's one of their best chances to win a national title in the last 10 to 15 years when you look at the 2 games they need to win here?
Yeah, so I came into this thing believing the window wasn't open because I didn't see Oregon being able to muster together the string of wins needed against high-end teams to close the deal. However, 2 of the teams that I felt like they probably couldn't defeat are out. So the other side of the bracket looks a lot more attractive. But the number 1 team that I believed was in their way is staring them in the face. So George has pressed me on this before. I've relented from the window not being open to saying it's slightly ajar.
There's a little breeze.
If they can win this game, then clearly the window's wide open. But I just don't see them winning this game. I have Indiana 24-17, something like that. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Oregon can win, but I just feel like Indiana is the better, more experienced, more battle-tested, all-around team that is better prepared for this moment, and I think they're going to win this game. That said, let me make this clear. If Miami wins on Thursday, I will actively be pulling for Oregon. I will be going against every journalistic ethics. I won't cheer in the press box, but I will be pulling for the Ducks because Ducks versus Hurricanes in the national championship game would be
in Miami also
amazing. Huh?
It's in Miami also, right?
In Miami. That would be monumental. The theater involved with that would be incredible. I just get chills thinking about it. I told George this on the Ducks Confidential podcast. You can check that out as well. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. Which would I want more? Miami, Oregon, or the Bears to win the Super Bowl? I would take Miami, Oregon.
Oh,
I'm dead
wow.
serious right now. Dude, I am dying for this matchup. This is amazing theater. You cannot, this is lightning striking theater. And I'll admit right now, like I'm going to be pulling for Oregon to get into it. I'm going to be pulling for Miami.
All right.
Y'all can make me the villain all you want. I don't care. But I got the Ducks road ending here, but I'm hoping they win.
George, real quick, you got about 60 seconds.
We're not looking toward the future.
No.
We're concentrating right now on a 27-17 victory over Indiana. Oregon will win this game. They will physically dominate. They will make plays. They will not be confused. They will hold this Indiana defense, this Indiana offense down, which we haven't talked about. They are going to stop the easy access throws, force them to just throw fade balls and not get picked and not get pass interference and all of that. They are going to shut this team down. Oregon is motivated. They are hungry. They are ready. It is our time. We're not letting Indiana jump the line. Sorry, we love your great story. We like your coach, Coach Signetti. Good job. 2 thumbs up. Go back home.
Ooh.
I got 23-20 Oregon. This is going to be a remarkable game. We'll break it all down next week. Can the Ducks get the victory and punch their ticket to the national championship? Can't wait to talk about it next week. Thanks again for joining us as always. We'll see you on the next edition of Talkin Ducks.